everybody, to the YTWPodcast, the best podcast you're listening to right now. So I'm Jonathan. You might know me as Great Canadian Guy on the YouTube. Joining me this week are my co-hosts Jess of port-haven.com.
Hello.
Nikita of Sergeant Curry Pants YouTube channel.
Hi.
And our guest this week, Penge from the Geek Cupboard.
Hello.
Also a YouTube channel.
Woo! More cheering. Woo!
Let's start with you, Penge. How was your week?
Good. Busy. A busy week. I am away this weekend. So in terms of YouTubing, I've been trying to cram lots of stuff in. So Friday morning I go away. Sunday kind of afternoon, evening I come back. So I'm missing out on kind of most of Friday and a bit of Saturday as well for recording stuff. So I'm trying to cram lots of stuff in. So yeah, it's been busy.
Okay. Play anything good lately? Like, what have you been doing in your spare time?
I have played. There were two things I played that have been different, and I've enjoyed one of them more than the other one. So the good one was a game called Moonbase, which sounds weird when you say it, but when you look at it, it's a cat. It's a cat on the moon in a spacesuit.
Moonbase, I get it.
Moon, you
okay.
see, like the moon. See, yeah.
Yep. I get it now.
Yeah, that's really good. It's like a sort of not quite top-down view, but. And you have to sort of go and gather resources and craft stuff. You craft a base, and there's oxygen and food and stuff like that. And then the base breaks occasionally. You have to go and repair it. You have to make sure it's got power and stuff like that. And that's really good. It's a nice, easy, kind of casual but very enjoyable game to get on with. And the other game that I played that I wasn't quite so good at, because it kind of required a lot of kind of planning and a lot of work to it, was a game called Autonauts. And you
I feel like I've heard of that.
I think it won a few awards, I think, for kind of being educational, like an educational sort of aid thing. Yeah. And so it's a bit Minecrafty. It's all a bit blocky. The graphics look kind of Minecrafty.
So it's a voxel game.
Yes, that's the proper word. Yeah, blocky is what I thought I would say. And yeah, so you kind of go around and you can dig stuff, you craft basic tools, but the good bit, I suppose, the thing that differentiates it from everything else is that you can build these little bots, and then they sit there and just idly do nothing until you command them to do something, and then they can follow a basic set of commands. So you can say, you bot, put shovel in hand, or use what you've got in your hand, so use a shovel, let's say an axe, maybe that's better. Have an axe in your hand, go to that tree, chop it down. There you go. Find the next tree, chop that down, and do that forever. And then you can have another bot that says, right, you bot, go and find the nearest chop down tree, the log, and bring it back to the base and turn it into planks or whatever. So, and then you can have this sort of fleet of bots that automate everything. So you can have ones that go and mine and ones that, smelt all your stuff. So in theory, and do your farm. So in theory, once you've got it all sorted, all the bots should be automated, doing everything. And I was really awful. I was fantastically terrible. I just couldn't. I kept breaking. And they kept running out of power, and then I kept doing stuff wrong, and then I didn't know what made what, and yeah, it was quite hard work, I thought, in the long run. It looked good, I get the premise of it, but it was hard work, I thought.
Okay. And was it like, did you think it was meant to teach people, like, programming? Like, was that the approach they were taking? Like, how to teach something to follow a set of logical rules?
Yes. Yeah. When you have the bot, it opens up a window to program the bot, and it is quite simplistic. So it puts it, you click around with the mouse telling you what to do, and it puts the commands in. It literally is as simple as step 1, go to tree. Step 2, use axe on tree. Step 3, find nearest tree. And then you just repeat it. But then you can put more complicated ones in. So I had a bot that was, weird enough, when you chop down trees, a tree seed came out. I don't know. And so I had tried to have a bot that was going over to the tree, chopping it down, then swapping tools to be a shovel, digging a hole, planting the seed of the tree. So we didn't run out of trees, obviously, because if I just chopped everything down, then I'd have no wood to do anything. But yeah, so that comes up in a nice series of commands as well. So I think it's kind of, I can see it appealing to the sort of student, early teen, sort of maybe slightly before that kind of programming, just to get them into the idea of sort of logic and steps and how things logically work their way through.
Also, perhaps grinding in a MMO game more conveniently.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could have bots chop down the trees to raise your lumber skill instead of you doing it, that sounds pretty good.
It almost sounds like a dystopian future.
Yeah. Where we just don't do anything.
Yeah, we just use our
Isn't that
slave
the
race
plot of WALL-E?
robots to cut down the trees, and then they transfer the experience directly into our brains,
Yes.
so that we're better at it, even though we've never done it.
That's how the Matrix really works.
Until they
I was
finally
just gonna
uprise
say,
against
that's
us, and
Yep.
yeah,
they'll never do that. The robots were made of wood. We could fight them off just with some fire. It's fine.
Robots are made of wood.
The early ones were made of wood.
What's the circuitry made of?
The first ones, the basic robots in that game, were made of wood. You just put some wood in. You made a wooden cog or something. I mean, it's a little game. It's not anything clever, but yeah, they're made of wood. And then the next ones were a bit better. I think they might have had sheets of metal in them.
I mean, Knack was a wooden robot kind of thing.
Well, you could have a wooden robot, but circuitry still has to be made out of...
Yeah, indeed. The
Like-
bits that make it a robot
But
don't really have to be metal.
Thing there.
Because wood's not a great conductor, to put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that actually sounds like a sweet game. What's it called?
It's called Autonauts.
Autonauts.
I got it
I will give that a
through-
try.
Yeah, I got it through. It's on Itch.
Oh,
which I
itch.io.
think I
Cool.
mentioned to you before. Yeah, that's it. Itch.io. For people that don't know what that is, yeah, Itch.io.
Most people
Yeah,
know
it's kind
itch.io,
of-
yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? But for sort of games that either aren't out yet or that are going through Kickstarters and stuff like that. So yeah, it's on there. As is Moonbase as well.
Right on. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm looking forward to playing. I did a vote on Twitter, and people voted in their dozen, literally a dozen, for what game I should play next. Kind of the not big thing, but I gave a choice of 4. I can't remember what the other 3 were now, but My Summer Car won, and I'm quite looking forward to playing My Summer Car because it looks
I've seen a bit of that.
unfathomably ridiculous. It looks really stupid. It's like Finnish teenage mid 1990s simulator.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this.
So I'm gonna have a go at that because it looks fun. It looks suitably stupid. So I thought that'd be quite fun. And you have to build a car, and I know nothing about cars, absolutely nothing. So that'd be quite fun. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So, Jess, how was your week?
My week was good. I have been reading a bunch of like Star Wars like kids books, so like elementary to middle school age, which has been kind of fun. I read books like that when I was that age and like the Legends canon. So I was kind of seeing what the new books had to offer. I've been reading a book called Legends of Luke Skywalker, which is 5 like novella length stories that are all about like basically ghost stories about Luke Skywalker after Return of the Jedi, because in current Star Wars canon there's literally nothing about him after Return of the Jedi, and they've kept it very intentional that way, what with the Last Jedi coming out. So this is kind of cool because there's stories that may or may not be true about Luke told from the perspective of people who like bumped into him on the street, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I've been doing mostly reading for reviews, and then I'm trying some different stuff out. Not sure how soon until they're released because I want to get them started off right, but I'm going to do a series that basically explains Star Wars starting from the point of maybe you've heard of it, and then try to get down to the nitty gritty. So like at whatever level of fandom you are, you kind of have a guide for going on to the next level of getting into Star Wars.
Oh, so an indoctrination method.
Basically, yeah, that's my goal. It's just have people watch it and then join my weird cult. And then I did a video. I edit it and try to see if it's going to work. But I did a video addressing the theories about Rey's parentage, which I'm hoping to get up soon. Because there's really no new theories I have to offer. So I just kind of took like the top 3 or 4 and then basically gave my perspective on how viable I think they are or not.
I'm not quite as much into the zeitgeist, I guess, of Star Wars. So like the only 2 that even seem feasible are Luke, which is blah, or like midichlorians.
Well, there's the top theories, just as a sneak peek, are Luke as her father, that she's a descendant of Kenobi, that she's a descendant of Palpatine.
That's real good.
Whoa.
That one I actually kind of like, or that her parents aren't important.
Yeah, that's kind of the one I'm thinking, and that's probably the most interesting, but I'd never considered Palpatine.
Yeah, there's no movie evidence for it. That's why it's literally
so
like
it's absolute conjecture with no evidence whatsoever.
it's basically like
Yay!
it's basically you want her to be related to somebody who's powerful, but you don't want it to be Luke. Let's go down the list of options. There is no movie evidence. There is some book evidence, which is what I get into in the video, which is why I think it's feasible. As opposed to like a couple people have thrown out the idea that she's a descendant of Qui-Gon Jinn, which at that point you are literally just going down the list of people who were Jedi who were capable of having children.
Yeah, like strong Jedi with reproductive organs. Yeah,
right, and human. You know, obviously, no one's suspecting Yoda's the father. You know what I mean?
Were Anakin's parents anything special? Anakin's parents were just or his mum anyway.
His mom was
the story with that?
His mom was a person, and the Force was his father.
His mom was Mary, and his father was God,
yes.
and he was Jesus. That's Anakin's story.
Yeah, he was a virgin birth.
Hang on, what?
You didn't know this?
Back up that information train there. Hang on, his dad was God.
Well, his dad was the Force. He was a virgin. He was the product of a virgin birth in Star Wars.
I didn't know. Maybe I glossed over that bit in the film or something, or maybe I just didn't understand it.
I mean, they talk about it in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, his blood's like half midichlorians.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yes, I remember. I know that. Yeah, I remember that bit saying, "Oh, midichlorians and blah blah." But I would. Okay, good.
Oh, I watched a TV spot for The Last Jedi last night, and I cried. So that's a thing.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't even like from the spot. The spot started, and I started crying, and I didn't even watch the spot because I was crying. So that's like.
With joy?
Yes, with excitement and anticipation.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it was just like I am so emotionally moved by the fact that this movie is happening. I like couldn't contain myself. That happened.
Am I like emotionally dead? I never get excited like that about anything.
And Star Wars is just this very special thing in my heart. People think they understand, and then they start talking to me, and then they're like, "Whoa, okay."
They're like, whoa, that's a little intense there. You might want
to. Intense.
Extreme fan. That's an extreme fan right there.
So Nikita, how was your week?
It's been crazy. Like things that I didn't even think would happen have been happening, and it started off with my cousin hooking me up with an interview with this woman who does W24 online magazine, and she wanted to talk about female gamers of color, and I guess my pale brown self is considered a color. so that happened, and I guess she'll be publishing it or something in like a few days. So that was cool. My pregnant cat hasn't gotten pregnant again, which is
well, that's good.
Oh, and I was drowning in paperwork today.
Oh.
Drowning in paperwork, and not in the nicest of ways. It was just me and papers everywhere.
Is there a good way to be drowning in paperwork?
Well, this partly happened because my dad didn't see me walking towards him and kind of dropped a bunch of files in me.
Oh, you mean literally.
Oh, as in
you
literal,
may think I was being responsible, but what literally happened was papers fell on me.
Wow!
So you were like Scrooge McDucking through paperwork is what you're telling me.
And then it became my responsibility to organize it because he dropped it on me.
I just want to point out that Nikita's week is always my favorite part of the podcast.
Her life is amazing.
It's my fault that he dropped papers on me.
Yeah, you were in the way.
And then I forgot that I promised my sister last week that we would try and be healthy and exercise.
Ha.
So I got nailed with that today. So today she tells me, aren't we going for a jog? And I literally the entire neighborhood's like, holy crap, she's actually out the house. What is she doing? She's like doing this weird stretch. She's trying to exercise. She never leaves her house. And like everyone's looking, like they're all stopping. They didn't even know my parents had another child. I see my neighbor coming down the stairs next door, so I start pretending to sprint, and I'm breathless at one go. So then she's like, oh, that's so nice. You're trying to get all fit. And I'm like, yeah, this is like sprint number 10. And she's just like, that's so lovely. And then I just went back into my room and ate a cupcake, and I said, I'm not doing this again.
I would like to point out that this is the doctor talking.
Yes, this is an actual literal medical doctor with a medical degree.
I tried to live through the advice I give, and I just can't. Can you picture the scene in Lion King when Rafiki's lifting Simba? That was my neighbors. They're like, oh my God, she stepped outside. My cat was like, holy crap, like she's running. He didn't know what to do, so he went upside down and tripped. Nobody knew what was going on. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore unless it's midnight because there's too much attention.
You don't want anyone to see your shame.
I'm such a hermit.
Was there real attention, or was this like you were just perceiving?
I'm in the nosy neighborhood. Like, I have these old, over 60 years old women that would slowly peep through their windows and be like, and my one neighbor calls me the house plant, and she was like, oh my God.
Wow! What an asshole!
Oh my God!
What the hell did you just call me? She's like, oh, everybody knows you're the house plant. I was like, everybody but me.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Have work. I'm laughing at my situation.
Oh man!
Oh man, my week thing was rubbish.
We all get outdone by Nikita every week.
Oh man, I should have let you go last. I've got to follow this.
Right?
You went back in and just had a cupcake.
Yeah.
Just nestled back into your bed now made of paper. You look like a hamster, sort of gnawing on a cupcake.
And apparently that was my fault because apparently my bedroom slippers are silent. He didn't even hear me coming.
See, they need to just tie a bell on you. Yeah. Right, so like anytime you're walking, you can just go ting 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 ting. And then
I'm gonna do that from now. I'm gonna bell or something like this is me.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Wow. Follow that then.
I love how you laughed at my
Your turn, John.
Yeah, time for my week. And now the news. No. My week was, it wasn't great. Like, I've been without the ability to stream, so I've just been sort of like killing time waiting for a new power supply to come in. But that did come in on Friday, after some much struggling with getting all the things undone and then re-put in, because I have big clumsy fingers. I managed to get it up and running, and it's been perfect since then. I've done a couple of streams, everything's been great, and it feels good. And that's not nearly as interesting as Nikita's week.
That's good news,
okay.
though.
Yeah.
That's good. Now you can get back to normality. That's good.
Yes.
What was it? Just the power supply was what? Broken or not enough or what?
Both.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, no, it had been redlining for like a year and a half, and I just never bothered to replace it because I'm an idiot.
And then one day it just went, no,
yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah, no, it started just like shutting off, and then it started overheating during like not even close to load. So like it was not only not handling load, but overheating because the fan was wearing out.
Oh.
Brilliant.
So it was borked, basically. So I think that's the technical term. Anyhow, I guess we should move on to the news. seems to be an inescapable topic. Star Wars Battlefront 2 continues to be a PR disaster for EA.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I sort of bunched a whole group of stories in together for this one because they're all related and not individually all that interesting, but I think they still need to be talked about.
Yeah.
So, response to, like, just sort of a breakdown, the response to criticism on Reddit's Star Wars Battlefront page became the most downvoted Reddit comment in the site's history. Something like
By
minus
some way as well, wasn't
minus
it?
like 250,000.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Though the rate and consistency of them after a certain point does imply bots, so it might actually be not as severe as it appears to be. But it still doesn't really look good on EA or
Right.
No.
the people handling public relations on that Reddit.
Well, and where I keep coming from on this is after 2 debacles, basically, with the Battlefront game, at some point, EA is going to have to answer to the mouse because I cannot imagine Disney is happy.
I've heard
right
that.
now.
I've been hearing rumors that they are particularly not pleased.
Yeah. I mean,
There was a Mickey Mouse, it was like kind of a GIF going around. It was Mickey taken from South Park, like beating up the Jonas Brothers, but instead of Jonas Brothers, it was EA. And he was
there
like,
you go.
"Don't you dare mess with
Yeah,
Star Wars."
and like EA.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. You first.
Fine, me first. And like EA might be the biggest fish in the game industry, but it is a friggin' minnow compared to Disney, as far as companies are concerned. So it needs to watch itself.
Well, that goes into what I was going to say, where a lot of people are very quick to accurately point out that Disney is just a behemoth at making money, but Disney is not short-sighted about making money. I mean, if anything, the way they've let the Marvel Cinematic Universe grow, where Warner Brothers has like manhandled the DC universe and just ruined it. You know, Disney's kind of like, if it's not broke, we're not going to make you fix it for most stuff. So like, they're all about making money, but they want to make sure they're making profits 20 years from now. They're not really worried about like one game. And to see, like, to me, if I were Disney watching EA bungle 2 things in a series, I mean, the first was a good game that lacked material to make it worth the price that people paid for it. And then they made a really great game, from what I've been told, in Battlefront 2, and then just effed it up with loot boxes and the progression system.
Yeah.
So it's like the developers did what they were supposed to do and fixed the mistakes of the first game, and then EA just kind of came in and screwed it up. I don't see Disney reacting well to this.
And that's a really important distinction, is that from what I can tell, the game appears to be crafted with love and care, and then just fucked beyond all recognition by the publisher.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I haven't personally played it, but that's what I've been told by anyone I've talked to who's played it, is that the game is great, except for
how it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mentioned this on Discord at some point in the last week, but I sit opposite a lady at work, and her son is one of the, I don't quite know exactly what the rank structure thing is like at EA. Is it DICE? With DICE, one of the developers? Is that who it is?
Yep.
I think he works with them, but I think they're, I don't know, they like under the umbrella of EA or whatever, I don't know. But he was one of the technical directors, and she said he worked on the kind of the game engine, the physics bit, is how she described it, but I think she didn't really know what he did very much. But yeah, she said that a lot of his people, so they have no involvement on how it's sort of sold or whatever, or the decisions. They just, they want to make the physics and make it good. And when all this news was coming out, people were coming into work, and he was telling her that people were crying and people were fearing for, their future and their jobs and whatever else. And yeah, sad, isn't it? That, they've done their thing. Like we said, they've done their job and they've done a good thing. And, but yeah, like you said, by all accounts, it is a good game. And then it's just had this, it's been tarred with this terrible brush, which is a shame.
Well, and the lead actress who plays Iden Versio, I think it's Versio, in the game, who's the main character in the single player campaign, has been, I think I said this in the last podcast, she's been awesome. She's been all over social media. She's been taking pictures with fans. And it's just, that's sad for me too, because this is a big acting gig for this chick. Like, she isn't like they pulled in it's not like pulling in a celebrity to a Call of Duty game. Like, this is like her kind of getting out there role. And now to have it be associated with EA screwing up leveling up system of all things it's just sad for everyone else that's involved.
When it sold alright, didn't it? Didn't it go in at number, obviously not as I expected, but I think it went in at number 2.
I mean,
behind
if you look at it from that perspective, it's selling all right, but the projected sales were 13 million, and they're not even going to make half of that.
Right.
Yeah, so it's had a huge, massive impact then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not technically a flop, and it's going to make money, but it's not going to do as well as they had hoped.
And it's not. There's no way that'll be good enough for Disney. Like, that might be good enough for. I was going to use an example that's not EA, so that's not even a good example. But
no, EA wants all the money, not just some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, they might be able to pass it off and go like, well, what can we do better for Battlefront 3? But I think Disney is going to be have their hands in the mix a little bit more next time.
And it really didn't even stop there, because in response to the criticism that they initially responded to, that just sort of elevated the initial criticism. They recalculated the costs and rewards of the game to seem smaller without actually changing the ratios. And they thought that was going to work.
Yeah, because hardcore gamers don't math.
No, we can't math. We're dumb. We just buy games. We're dumb consumers. The consumer aren't people. We can't math.
Right.
All of the responses were just bogus.
Yeah, and then just before release, they respond to further criticism by disabling in-game purchases temporarily.
Yeah.
Hoping you'll buy it because the in-game purchases are off, so they can just turn them back on.
Switch them back on when they like.
Yeah. It's like and Jim Sterling put it very well, we already know what you want to do. Now we can see how you're trying to manipulate the situation to do it. So it doesn't matter what you do. We know you're trying to fuck us.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is an unbelievable PR problem.
Well, and where I know I keep going back to the same point, but what they have to be aware of is Disney does not play nice. Like, Disney is getting a lot of bad press right now because they are basically holding movie theaters hostage for shares of Last Jedi ticket sales. Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Usually,
No.
Oh yeah, okay. So here you go. I don't know the percentages exactly correct because I read it from somebody else and I haven't double checked the source. But I don't know if the percentages are correct, but I know the situation is correct. Where basically the way movies work is the distributor, which in this case is Disney, makes X amount of the profits during the first, say, month of release that a movie is in theaters. And whatever that standard number is, Disney upped it by like 10% for The Force Awakens, and they're trying to up it by another 10 for The Last Jedi. So there's like this movement to try to convince movie theaters to not show Star Wars because Disney is trying. Good luck, exactly. But Disney knows that, and so they're trying to get more of the profits from movie theaters. But the thing is that wrath can go on EA, where it would be like, all right, you're going to make a game, but you're going to receive some form of punishment now because you effed up the money we should have been getting from Battlefront. But yeah, no, that's a thing. Like, Disney is holding movie theaters hostage basically because they have Star Wars and they have Marvel, and you can't not show those movies.
No.
Fans are gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
I would have done more research. I didn't realize that was an unknown thing. But yeah, that's been going on.
Yeah, no, that hasn't been on my radar whatsoever. So thanks for bringing that up. So staying in the Star Wars realm, Star Wars is getting a new trilogy and a live-action TV show.
Speaking of Disney, because the live-action TV show is going to exist on Disney Netflix. It's not even called Disney Netflix, but they're making their own streaming service. So that's, no one really knows like at all about what the show is going to entail. There was a live-action TV show in the works, like right after Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. And it never got off the ground for any number of reasons. Mostly the level of technical quality Lucas wanted out of it, you couldn't do on a TV budget. So that's what kept pushing it back. which is less of a problem today than it was in 2005. So they might go back to the original concept that Lucas had, which is like between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, a Star Wars underworld kind of mob show in like the bowels of the city planet, which is Coruscant. But they might not. They might just go with their own idea. And then the new trilogy is going to be helmed by Rian Johnson, who is the director of The Last Jedi. And the new trilogy is not episodes 10, 11, and 12. It is a standalone trilogy separate from anything that's being told in the episodic films. And the phrase they used is, quote, a region of, or it's a corner of the Star Wars galaxy never explored in lore. So we're not sure if that means time, like a time period not explored.
That's nebulous.
Or if it means like or a location that's never been explored. I'm leaning towards location because if it's time, if lore includes legends, there is literally no time period that has not been covered. Which is why I think it's probably a different location. Obviously, I don't know. But what I like about that is Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie hasn't premiered yet, and they've given him 3 more movies. So
that's got to be a good sign.
Right. How much faith do they have in The Last Jedi if that happened? Or at least in their ability to work with Rian Johnson and not be another director that's going to get fired.
Yeah, that I didn't know about that last bit at all.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all the news there is about that trilogy? It literally is. It's in a mysterious bit that you don't really know about, and that's it.
Like, it literally just got announced, and I think the only reason why it got announced is probably because they're buying up, like, website titles or what have you. Like, you're going to see this.
People would work it out, wouldn't they?
Right, yeah. People are going to figure it out anyway, so they might as well tell you and then let us speculate for a while.
Yeah, they'll look through all the copyrights
coming
and
out
stuff,
in 2019.
Well, I mean, for example, there's been rumors of an Obi-Wan movie in the works, and like they've talked to Ewan McGregor about it, but that hasn't been officially announced by Lucasfilm. That's literally somebody read reports of names of websites being bought up or resources being allocated.
Yeah, news hounds.
And so they figured out that Disney is in talks about an Obi-Wan movie that hasn't been greenlit. So if you're talking about an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie that you could absolutely build up, and they aren't talking about it, but they've announced this trilogy and this TV show. So I think that's how legitimate and like for sure going forward.
That could be a good 4 or 5 season show, bridging the gap between him going into hiding and winding up teaching Luke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a large amount of time there, and a lot of cool stuff could happen.
Well, especially because Kenobi spent a lot of that time learning under Qui-Gon Jinn.
Right, at the Force Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
When are these coming out?
None of these have... the TV show is 2019. I don't believe the movie series has a set date.
It's got to be after the final part of the...
Oh, yeah. They're going to...
Trilogy,
episode 9 comes... Oh, crap. Wait. Okay, so it's 2017. So the Han Solo movie is 2018, so episode 9 is 2019. And then...
So it'll be 2020, 2021-ish.
Yeah, before we see anything. And obviously they don't want to talk about it, too, because they don't want to... I mean, they don't want you to know anything about what's going to happen in episode 9, when 8's not even out yet.
All right, so the next story. Skyrim, the cockroach of video games, is... You can't kill it. It won't go away. Skyrim
can survive the fallout.
Yes. Hey! Yeah, it super did, too.
That's a good one.
So yeah, Skyrim is coming out on PSVR, which is its 3rd version across 7 platforms now. Holy hell.
Woo!
Wow.
I could be
Ka-ching.
50 and they'll remake Skyrim on every ever made when I'm 50.
Yeah, like by the time I'm 50, I'm going to be able to play it on your brain. Like,
it's like, they just like, you know what? Let's make a new game. No, let's remake make Skyrim.
Well, they're making a new game, but I think they're trying to take their time and not release it in the state Skyrim was released in. So they're just like, it's relatively easy to port Skyrim to a new system.
Right.
And apparently it just keeps
cool
selling.
in VR though.
Apparently it's like a super cool, different experience in VR too.
Getting your head about to be sliced off in the first 10 minutes in VR, that will not be fun though.
Never thought of that.
Oh.
The dragons will look great, if terrifying, but that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Apparently the only the only difficult thing with the Skyrim VR is just movement, because there's a button that allows you to move forward only, and to move in other directions, you need to aim like an arch at a certain point on the screen, and then it moves to that point that you press to move on.
Yeah, it's kind of like a teleporty thing.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying there.
Oh, you don't move, you don't stroll, you appear in the next place.
I think you can stroll, but if you want to move around in combat, you're going to be like teleporting around the battlefield.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I've
never played a VR game.
Yeah,
it makes you nauseous.
That's what I was just going to say. Another thing I've heard is that it makes people nauseous, but it doesn't really deter them from playing.
It would probably make me nauseous because I get nauseous like in a car.
Yeah,
me too.
That's how you feel. I was playing Drive VR in a living room, and I was like, okay, I want to barf, but this is so fun.
There's a bath bucket nearby.
Fun fact. I was 9 years old when the Phantom Menace came out, and I got motion sick during the pod race scene and missed the second half of the movie because I was barfing in a bathroom.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no.
So whenever people are like, guys, the prequels are so bad, I'm like, well, they made me literally vomit, so I think I have that on you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was just a thing that was really like, I don't know if any other game has seen that many releases, is really what I'm getting at.
In such a short time, really.
Since 2011.
Yeah, it's not you have 6 years, I suppose, but it's a relatively recent game, and it looks all right, doesn't it, Skyrim? But yeah, I'm just wondering how many more things they're going to put it on. It's coming out on the thing, isn't it? On the Switch, if it's not out already on the Switch. Yeah,
it's on PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4, PC, re-released on PC.
Of course, it was re-released, wasn't it, with the fancy pants?
Yeah, that's its second
HD
release. Its third version is the VR version, which is distinctly different from the first two. Another story: World of Warcraft is actually getting classic servers, and no one can agree on what that should actually be.
So it's not like reverting back to like an absolute version of the game.
Well, that's what one camp wants. And another camp wants to go back to that content, but keep some of the patches for graphics and like stuff like that so it can look nice.
Then it's not classic then, is it?
Right,
I would say,
so there's a big schism in the community over this. And I find it really interesting because I don't think anybody actually really is going to want this, because you can't go back to 2004 and have the friends you had at the time. It's not going to be the same.
No.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I see. World of Warcraft is something I've never played. I never played primarily through fear of everyone, because people I know have played it and they go, I was on World of Warcraft last night for 9 hours. And you think, what are you doing? What, really? Yeah, I will be one of those people. I'll be there going, must just get whatever it is, more gold. And then realise it's 6 a.m. and I've got to go to work or whatever. So I didn't play it kind of for that reason. But I don't know how big a leap that is from going from what it is now to a classic. I don't know. Like, is it gargantuan? Does it remove like playable races or whatever? I don't know.
It would remove races, probably classes. Another argument is whether you want to go back on the balance to the original, where like some classes were much more broken. And
so really, it is a big step backwards. Why do they want to? Like, why do people want to do that?
Because people are craving the nostalgia of when they first started playing World of Warcraft, and they somehow think this is going to bring it back.
Well, that's how that always goes. Like, it ties into what we're talking about with Skyrim. It's like, why keep remaking Skyrim? Well, because people like it so much.
But it is that thing. Sometimes you get that with a with a game. I know there's a few games, isn't there? I know Deus Ex, the original, is one of those where people say, "Oh, every time you mention it, someone will reinstall it." And you sort of, I've done that before. You go on it and you play it for a bit, and then you kind of go, "Yeah, there you go. That was Deus. That's my nostalgia hit done. Right, I'll play something else now." You play it for, I don't know, a few hours, maybe, I don't know, whatever. You don't even get a quarter of the way through the game, and then you sort of scratch that nostalgic itch. And then
the human race has now become a bunch of member berries. They're like, remember this game from 1992?
member berries.
I like that phrase.
I've never
We're
heard
all
that before.
just like, remember Tekken 1? Let's make it again, but in VR.
VR Tekken 1. Oh, that would be awful.
Yes.
So next story. This one's interesting. Marvel Heroes is shutting down, and its fans are demanding refunds for their in-game purchases.
That's interesting, isn't it? Precedents will be set if they do. That'll be
It goes down. It goes down on December 31st, 2017. Purchasing has been disabled, and the publisher is legally within their rights to do this and owe nobody anything. But is that in itself a problem?
It depends, isn't it? If people signed up, and everyone does, because when it says, "Hey, do you agree to these conditions?" you go, "Yeah, whatever. Yes, I don't care." Then people have accepted it. So I suppose they are within their rights. You just go,
no, they're super within their rights.
Go away.
Well, I mean,
but morally, is it wrong?
No, I don't think. Compare it to Netflix. I have access to all of these movies that I'm paying a monthly subscription for until such a time as I either stop paying for it or Netflix just decides to close its doors. I can't then demand my money back from Netflix for all the movies I now don't have access to. You know, you're paying for the ability to play the game so long as the game exists. I think that's just think about what game is it? It's like FIFA, the FIFA games or something that are really bad about like every time a new version comes out, the multiplayer servers are like worthless. But you buy the game for the multiplayer servers. I don't know that it's much different.
Mm-hmm. But I guess a small detail, and I actually do agree with you in conclusion, but for devil's advocacy purposes, a big difference is that while you're paying a subscription for access to these things that rotate in and out, like on Netflix, in this, you're playing a game and making specific purchases for specific in-game items that will no longer be available when the game goes offline.
Okay. I mean, that is a valid side point in that you are owning, like you bought something that you then consider that you own, even though it's just bits of data.
Right, and I think we've reached the point where data is something you can own.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, someone complained that they spent at least $400 on in-game purchases.
Yeah, that was one of the stories.
$400.
Yeah, $400. And
wow.
People have reported. I don't know how far this is true though. A few Xbox players says that they got some stuff refunded, but I'm not sure about other consoles.
Yeah, it might have been purchases they made relatively close to the disabling of purchases. So, like, just them hedging their bets, like, okay, well, we don't want bad PR, so they can have the money back on those things.
Right. Yeah. Things you wouldn't have bought if you'd known the game was going to shut down.
Like,
yeah.
Versus, like, if I had made a purchase 2 years ago, it's like, you could make an argument.
I bought Captain America 2 years ago, and now I won't have them anymore, like, you know.
Well, you got 2 years of worth out of it.
2 years out of your $5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm surprised something like this hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
Sounds like it should be very common, though.
Like, of course, games have ended before. Like, online games have come down before, and microtransactions have existed alongside online games, but this might be the first significant instance of a game with microtransactions going offline permanently.
Right.
Now, I don't know the game very well. Is it relatively new?
Apparently, no, it's not all that new. It's from 2013, I think.
Yeah, I got the wiki page up now. It's 2013.
So what? 4 years of them possibly getting all these micro. That's going to be a lot of. If they do have to pay it back, that could be quite a lot of. That could be quite a big payoff.
Yes,
I feel
they do end up paying it back out.
Even if you want to make the argument of like, I bought this thing, at a certain point, I don't even know that. I mean, you still got X amount of time of use out of it. You know, if I bought an action figure and I actually played with it, it's going to break after X amount of use.
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. I just.
Oh, that's kind of a bad comparison, though. Like you're breaking it like on your own initiative as opposed to it breaking on you.
That's true. I don't know. I guess I just think of it. There's a card trader game I've played for a long time, and I've specifically never spent money on it because I'm aware that the moment they decide not to have that, they're not physical trading cards. Like at any point in time, the company could decide to not have it anymore, and then I will lose access to my digital cards because they're not saved on my phone.
Exactly. I'm like that with Eternal card game, which is definitely not Magic the Gathering, as I like to call it.
Crowbar separation there.
Yeah, it's legally distinct. Let's put it that way. And I'm not going to spend any money on it. It's actually not all that hard to grind at, but I also don't want to invest money into it, even though that would be supporting the devs, because I don't want, when it eventually goes away, which it ultimately will, I won't have those things anymore, and that's not a good investment for me.
Right.
Isn't it a bit, I mean, you'd hope that Steam wouldn't go away, but it's a bit like if Steam suddenly closed. Because I've obviously got games on Steam, and then if Steam suddenly said, right, something catastrophic's happened, it's all gone, bang, Steam shut down, we're going at the end of the year, would you be able to say, well, I've spent $400 worth of games on there, I want that back,
pretty sure
please.
the population would start a riot.
Well, yeah.
Oh, God, it'd be the end of civilization. But yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it would come down to you'd better install and or download the information for all the games you own or they're going to be gone. You still own them, you can still have them, but once the servers go down for Steam, you can't get them anymore.
Yeah, I honestly never tried, but like,
it's different,
say I own one of the Civilization games through Steam. Can I open Civilization not through Steam? I've never even tried.
Super can. Yeah. I do that with some games when I'm running mods.
Yeah. So as long as I still have the hard files or I'm given time to download them and put them somewhere.
Right. And while Steam is technically able to just tomorrow say, okay, no more games, they're all gone now.
Yeah.
That would be a massive lawsuit and they would lose miserably. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, in hindsight, it's not quite the same, is it? Because, you can actually get that.
I think the issue was that they didn't get enough notice that this was going to happen. It just kind of happened so fast. It did happen
pretty quick to them, I'll give you that. I think it was announced in October that it's going away at the end of the year. Or hell, maybe even November. I can't remember the date the announcement was, but it didn't give them a lot of time. I think the real takeaway has to be from this, I'm sorry your stuff's going away and there's nothing you can do about it. Be more careful about things you do in the future.
Yeah, about how much you invest in these sorts of things, which are fairly transient things, aren't they? They could just, they can come and go.
And in the wake of, as we've been talking about on here, predatory pseudo-gambling tactics that the industry has been using, if you're likely to give into that, you either got to get help with that or avoid putting yourself in the position to be taken advantage of. And while it's not your fault, the current laws don't protect you for shit.
Right. Well, I feel like at some level, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to spend $5 on a game.
Nope.
For a year's worth of content. Like, that's not even that bad of a deal, depending on what the content is. Yeah. So it's, I don't do it because I do look at it as in terms of an investment thing, but at the same time, it's just, I don't think it's a bad thing to have that model. We just have to be aware you're buying time, you're not buying a thing.
Right. And another big distinction is they were buying specific digital objects for the game and not the opportunity to win one in a roulette.
Right.
Like that, it's not comparable, I guess, to the gambling I was just sort of talking about. This is, you were buying a specific thing with a value that you knew about.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a big thing though if that does go to courts or whatever. If it gets all legal, that could have sort of repercussions for other things. Because
for Disney.
That's how it works, isn't it? These things, they use it as examples for future things. Yeah.
I'm learning that all things seem to come back to Disney.
Disney really having a hard time.
Yeah, Disney presents America. Our final story. The South Yorkshire town of Doncaster has 2 new road gritters named Gritsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Anti-Slip Machine and David Plowie.
I just want to say that I understood none of the words you just said.
Do you know the song?
Yeah, I know the song of Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow
Right.
Polka. I understood the melody, but like you started with like some places that sound like they probably exist, and then you just kind of lost me.
Doncaster's a lovely northern town. That's Doncaster.
Yes, it's in the southern north, as far as I understand.
In the south of
Southern
Yorkshire.
North. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have, instead of plows over there, because they don't get real winter, they have these gritter things, I'm told, which just spread sand.
Yeah,
Ooh.
essentially. Spread sand across the roads.
Right. And after giving the public the opportunity to name them, like the fools they are,
Mhm.
they came up with the names. The first one, Gritsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Anti-Slip Machine.
Yep.
And David Plowy, which I love.
Mhm.
Now, I have heard of another one being called Snowy One Kenobi, which I thought was
Ooh.
particularly good.
That's
I
good.
approve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
England's great sometimes. I love it.
Are they
That's
naming
good.
the individual vehicles, or are they naming like the vehicle type?
No, the
Like, what is-
individual vehicles now have names.
have names. Oh, okay. I mean, hey, it started with Thomas the Tank Engine, and it just went from there.
Can you imagine
Hey.
someone reporting traffic like this? Oh, David Plowy is at it again. The roads are blocked.
Yeah, you might want to avoid. You might want to avoid route, whatever the fuck. Or David Plowy's on.
They're not Cockneys, they're from
I
they're
don't.
from
That's the
Doncaster.
only one I can do.
They'll talk like that if they're from Doncaster.
Yeah.
Like,
Everybody talk
more.
like that from the England.
Aye.
That was nothing. I mean, that was bullshit.
There was a thing. I don't know if it made it across the world or not. I can't remember when it was. A while ago, a year or two ago. Some sort of nautical people said, "Hey, we've got this boat, this sort of Arctic exploration boat. What would you like to call it?"
Oh, I heard
Boaty
about this. Yeah.
McBoatface.
Yeah, Boaty McBoatface.
Yeah,
And
this
then
is
obviously these
I
people have obviously not learnt the lesson. Have they?
no.
This will make you proud, Penge. On Port Haven, when Boaty McBoatface happened, we all changed our usernames. So my other admin changed his name to Boaty McBoatface. I changed my name to Trainee McTrainface. Like somebody else was Planey McPlaneface, and we were all named in that line
That's good.
to celebrate.
I like
Boaty
that. That's very good.
It was a
Do
good
you know what?
time.
They didn't use it. They didn't use it for the actual boat,
Aw.
which is a shame. It won, but they didn't use it. They named something else after it, like a submarine, a little exploration vessel that was in the bigger ship, which was the David Attenborough or something like that. I forget now.
Oh, that's like a proper.
An actual
Yeah.
boat name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, David Attenborough.
So yes, these people clearly didn't learn their lesson by asking people to name their
You
sort of
know.
road gritter machines. the
But
fools.
the small town of Doncaster did get on our prestigious podcast through it, so I guess it was a successful PR thing.
There you
Oh, and
go.
hello, Doncaster. I hope you're well.
For the
You're doing
record-
all right. Are you staying fed?
For the record,
What?
anybody, just as a quick shout out to the Geek Cupboard, this is
Hello.
exactly what his game commentary sounds
Oh,
like.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, here's a button. I wonder what that does. I'm just going to click on it. Oh, that's what that does. Okay. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I'm going to remember that for lalater.
And then I'll forget. I forget it for later.
Like, oh, I
Open
forgot
end.
about what this button did, and now I'm on fire again.
What did I do?
That's kind of generally what happens.
Where
It's
can I
fire.
get one? Now I'm dead. Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of how it
Absolutely
Good.
spectacular game commentary.
Yes, the Geek Cupboard, very good channel. Highly
and
recommended.
ineptitude as well. Yay.
It's why I told him at one point that he should do sports commentary. It's
Yes.
funny.
I would
Maybe I
watch
should do
more
that.
sports.
When's the next big sport thing? I could commentate on the sport.
There's a big sport coming up. I'd like to talk about this
Just wants
sport.
to do a sport.
Oh, there's a big
Oh
sport.
my
Or the Super
Well,
Bowl.
in February, there's the Olympics, so there's that.
There's several big sports at the Olympics.
Let's put him in any big sport.
Okay,
Yeah.
India's
really
having
big.
a
Okay,
couple
what do you know about
tournaments.
hockey?
Would you like to be there?
Hockey.
yeah. Do you know anything
I mean-
about hockey?
Not really. I went to see ice hockey when I was on my
Okay.
honeymoon once.
Because,
That
like,
was good.
It would be lovely to hear you cover some Olympic ice hockey.
Like, oh, now that man has just punched another man in the face.
Oh, these men are now having a fist fight. This doesn't seem very polite.
Are they allowed to do that?
Oh, that's another tooth on the ice.
They just seem to be hitting this strange rock around. I don't really know what they're doing.
Is that
Oh,
thing?
they're waving sticks in